preparing to stream the meeting.
Who's on Zoom?
No one, but we have to live stream. So that's the platform on which we do. So we're live.
Kia koutou. Thanks for coming to the Submissions Committee meeting. If you'd like to join me with the karakia timatanga. Well, thank you, everyone. We have apologies from Greg Mitchell and Alex Hewison. Would someone like to move that those apologies be accepted?
Sure.
Moved by Tim, seconded by Joe. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
And against, carried. Any declarations of interest? No declaration of interest. So now we'll move that pursuant to Standing Orders 3.5, the temporarily suspension of standing orders. The following standing orders be suspended to enable informal discussion regarding agenda item 3.
And
7.
4,
And what, sorry?
and 4, sorry.
3 and 4. And so that's 17.5 and 18.1. Someone like to move that? Moved by Jackie, seconded by Tim. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Again, carried. All right. So we'll go to talk about the way safer streets for everyone. I sent out my sort of bullet point working points. So just about the Te Awatai cycleway. There was a meeting this morning because in case not everybody's aware, it's actually only one corner of it is in our ward area. The rest of it is in Central Ward and Papua in the Central. So elected members from Central and one actually gets sprayed in Cashmere because a bunch of kids that go to Linwood come from sprayed in Cashmere. We're at the meeting, which I wasn't able to attend. And there's been 2 meetings and it was a really good meeting and there was a bit of a compromise, and I'll read out a little bit from their email, so it just might be a bit helpful. So this is from the consultation lead. We just got back from the meeting with Steadfast Books around businesses and Matt Butcher with some elected members and designer, confirming that car parks have been reintroduced in the draft plans for 3 areas with the heaviest business presence, particularly 7 car parks outside Steadfast on Ensor's, 5 outside the Mad Butcher's car park, and another 8 or so outside the car yard area on the opposite side to Mad Butcher. And there's some stuff that we discussed that this plan still needs to be agreed and signed off by Waitai, and that the bus stops will still need to be investigated as there's concern around that. That's something that I share. There's a slightly separate project. Wasn't concerned about the bus placement on Ensor's near Steadfast, which we'll take back to the project teams. Time limiting of car parking is being investigated. Now I've been told that that was a really helpful suggestion that was made by an elected member, just because obviously when you're worried, at the moment, there's no time limit of car parking, so people can just park outside all day, and it's not very helpful for the businesses. So, so they're looking for 120 time limit is Steadfast in 10 minutes near around by the liquor store, and they'll see what they can do. So it was a really positive. So I'm happy to support that in our submission. Are you guys happy for that? Yeah. So if we can say just to support the alternative, the compromise solution worked out between staff, elected members and local businesses.
That's the same one, sorry.
So that's just
I'll just have
a look on the engine, sorry. Yeah, so it's the first one. It's the Te Aratai College Cycle Connection.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, is this going in the, is there anything else we need to know? Comment. Okay, so
Yes.
I can make it bigger, sorry.
Yeah.
So speak up, sorry.
The Beckton Ball.
Yeah. So first half email agreed with compromise to add time limits of parking to the proposal. And the other question that has been raised by public submissions on the share pinpoint, which caught my attention, and something that we discussed as members was around the tuning arrows. There was some discussion when we had the briefing, and I think that might have been a Waiho Kotahi thing. So I would quite like to put in our submission that would suggest they're adding, ensuring that the whole intersection has tuning arrows.
It's Aldwin's Ferry.
So we'll just wait to make sure that we capture that.
I think we're leaving tuning arrows north-south, but not east-west.
Okay.
Arrows at all.
They have,
At east-west on the east-west.
there's no right tune arrows on it.
Maybe put
Ferry Road and
additional-
it can be taking your life in your hands, having a right turn there.
Yeah, I think additional, so that they don't take one away and put
Oh, yeah,
the other one in.
They wouldn't take it to go the other way. It's just too much.
Okay. So that should be up here.
I avoid doing a right turn from Ferry Road into Aldwin's
I can take
because there's no
20 minutes,
cars.
can't
Yeah, well, you
Oh, yeah.
only get one or two cars through at a time, so.
I think we can take out
Put in addition to the south north or
in addition to what, sorry?
to the other,
I mean,
South north. It's just that,
Addition to
you know,
tuning.
you don't want them to take one off and
No,
put the other one on.
no.
Does that help? Does that? Sounds like it?
Yeah,
Just-
thank you.
Take out, now that that's been addressed, the next bullet point, you can take that out. And so there was some concerns raised around the impact on heavy vehicles of the race platform. Now, I'm assuming that the design of the race platform ensures that the taper is sufficient.
Surely.
And that's also assuming that people aren't hitting at a pace. So,
I don't have to, if they trust it, they do that.
pardon?
We have to trust that the engineers will get that
I
right.
know that, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's but I think we could have as a bullet point, the board would like to ensure that the taper is sufficient to account for the high volume of heavy vehicles.
Okay, for or are
Taper
sufficient.
to take into account the high volume of heavy vehicles through the intersection. And the next one, get rid of that, so it's related. And the next one would be the board is concerned that the bus stop on what would it be, the northern corner is too close to the intersection. If you have a look on the,
Outside the car yard,
no,
Other
that's
side of the road.
other side of the road, outside Ben Butcher. It's very close.
it is.
And there's another one. Where are we? Yeah, it's that one. It's the one outside, what's really outside St John's Harvest Market.
The cars will follow that bus around the corner and have to stop.
Yeah. And I mean, I in principle support the the raised platforms. I want to be based on the evidence that we have. So it's not something for the submission, but it's a question of I'd like staff to provide that if we can, because we're taking it on the advice of experts that it's going to be effective and safe.
So can you please be specific as to what steps you want from the?
Sorry, on whether it has actually reduced the number of crashes, injuries, and fatalities.
I'll take that away. Take this point out.
I mean, it is. I'm assuming that because the speed limit is 60 kilometres an hour on that intersection, that the platform will be sufficient to slow the traffic to 60 kilometres an hour rather than, and it's 50 kilometres an hour going down Ferry Road,
Yes.
60 kilometres an hour going across. So I haven't seen, and I might be wrong, I haven't seen anything to reduce the speed limit to 50.
Oh, good point.
So
I didn't consider that.
yeah, can we add under that, well, we can just put it there, that the board assumes that if the speed limit is to remain at 60 kilometres an hour, right, going from east to west,
A what?
west to east, that either way, let's keep going around and go the other way. Going from west to east, that the,
Yeah, west to east is Ferry Road,
well, that's,
east to west is Ferry Road.
I guess it's not quite that, because,
But Albin's in-source.
like, well, yeah, if we put in
Albin's Ensource, isn't it?
Albin's Ensource then,
I'm surprised that that's staying at 60. Like, if they're putting a cycleway down there,
I haven't seen anything in the
I
plans.
agree. And it's going outside of school,
Well, it's currently goes outside of school, yeah.
I mean, it's 60k outside of school, aren't we reducing speed limits all over the city and outside schools? And why would that one stay at 60k going down there?
Okay, what about reframing that then to say that the board wishes clarification on what the speed limit
Speed
would
limit
be,
should be, yeah.
and that the height of the platforms is appropriate to that. You'd think that between from Ferry to Linwood Ave, that they would be reducing that to 50 kilometres an hour.
Back to 50 kilometres an hour.
Back to 50.
Back to 50.
I got a ticket for doing 54 down there once.
Yeah.
When we did the Martian Road one, I assumed that those same things would have slowed you down from 50 through the other section, so below 50 through the other section. Some assumed, rightly or wrongly, that's what would happen on the roads. So you couldn't travel at 60 over them, slow down.
Well, I assume that when
Absolutely, you
it's
have to almost stop before you go onto those platforms.
Yeah, because that's not what you thought. You thought you could drive over them 60k.
I guess the thing is my assumption is that it's appropriate for traffic that is driving at a maximum of 60 kilometres an hour. So that would be different on a different road, right? So my assumption is that if there's different heights, if it's going to be travelling at 50 or travelling at 60.
I'm assuming it won't be. I'm assuming it's going to be slow down. But we haven't had that detailed
Yeah, I think we just need to ask the question.
clarification. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something we can try and find out as part of it before we finalise the submission, hopefully.
Otherwise, what's the point of it?
So I think this is actually most of this is for the we can tie it up later, but
Yeah.
for the next question.
It's just that up there, the white stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right, anything else on the cycleway / there was
Can I just,
Cycleway only one side of Albin's Road.
It's both, wasn't it?
It's both.
Yeah,
So if you have a look,
I'm not.
I'm not-
happy with it.
I'm much more in favour of the
Just one way.
shared, either have the shared cycleway. Just because I drive up there a lot and there's very rarely any pedestrians or cyclists anywhere near there. Obviously there will be around school time, but I think, you know, with the loss of parking, I still think that either the shared thing or only have it on one side.
although it's a bit like when you seal a gravel road. When you seal a gravel road,
Yeah.
more cars use it because it's more convenient to use.
Oh, yes, I understand that, Paul, but I don't think more people are going to be walking up Aldwin's Road because we've got a cycleway.
Well, I assume more people will be cycling.
Or scootering or whatever.
Scootering.
Or what we don't know about.
Yeah, well, no, just knowing how many pedestrians we see going up and down there, I just think the shared one would be adequate, or put the separate one on one side. I'm just concerned about all of the car parking, and that stretch of road between Ferry Road and Linwood Ave is going to go. And we're looking at intensifying the housing through there. Where are people going to park that are buying into the you know, or renting these apartments? They do have cars. We still do use cars.
But
No buts, just, yeah.
well, there is a but. The but is that if people are buying houses where there is no parking, then the parking is not available on the street, then that's their decision to figure out where it is.
All right, so people with cars can no longer live on Auckland's Road
Well, no, I don't think that's what's going to happen.
unless they've got off-street parking.
That's probably right.
So through you, Mr. Chair, and I don't mean to be difficult, can we start at the beginning of each of them just so I can keep up to where members are at? So for the first one, I was probably thinking members travel or use different means to travel through the area, and then we'll go on to the next question and so forth. Are you okay with that approach?
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah.
So I drive, bus and cycle through there. Jackie?
Drive.
So I'll just do a
Right.
mixture. So I'll click on, when I do the submission, I'll tick other, and then I'll specify that we use different
Yeah.
means to travel through the site. Okay.
And the best bit about driving through that particular intersection is the public dancer. There's a man who does quite enthusiastic dancing in the corner.
So then we're all in support that, do you think this proposal will improve safety for cycling?
Apart from the bus stops are, and the cycle lanes.
But yeah, I mean, we have a.
That's not ideal.
It's not. No, it's not ideal. I don't know if it's not going to make cycle safety worse, but that's not ideal.
So the options are yes, somewhat, no, don't know,
Well-
not sure. There's no option for comment in that
Yeah, I think it's a
part
ye-
of the question.
I think it's a yes if we're not.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
it will.
yes.
It will. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
The one question, yeah, so I had about signalised pedestrian. So opposite where ARA is, where the main building is for ARA, so not where the trades bit is, or so it's just down from where the probation centre is as well. There's Sullivan Ave, right by the corner there. There's at the moment you have to cross 2 lanes of traffic from the bus stop to get over to the and 2 lanes of traffic into the middle, and then another 2 lanes of traffic. Whereas, or you can walk down to opposite Mackenzie Ave and use the signalised thing, which also is a cycleway too. So I think they need to put in something similar for people crossing the road from the bus stop.
I agree. I mean, when there are people crossing here, there's a lot of people trying to cross here, you know, because the class has ended or whatever. And there's a lot of students are coming out and trying to cross that. Yeah, I agree. We should have some signalised crossing there. It will annoy people who are coming around will annoy drivers, but it's still safer.
So similar to what's back further.
Yeah, similar to the Mackenzie app one. I saw somebody had raised, and I'm not sure about this one, just that instead of having the speed cushions, that they wanted a raised platform at that Frederick Street intersection, just to make it much more clear that there's a cycleway that you're pulling it across.
Which one's Frederick?
So Frederick is down further towards Ensel's Road. So you'll see I'll tell you on what page it is. It's Greenville. So it's on page 8 of your agenda of the attachments. So you come across and then you see that there's green and then there's a speed cushion before the stop sign. And the comment was that they thought that it needed to be more than just a speed cushion. I mean,
It's narrowed a lot.
I actually disagree that it needs to be more than, I think a speed cushion is sufficient. It's been quite narrowed. We've got a speed cushion and it's not a heavy use pedestrian.
No, I think that's great.
It's just a little straight. It's like
I agree.
mostly residents.
I saw that it had been raised, so thought I'd put it in there.
What's it on the corner where the bushes are? It says Frederick Place.
It's that little island thing in the middle, isn't it?
I mean, the
No, it's
empty area.
It's widened so you can only turn left.
I mean, what is that area like that? What are they doing there? It's going to be housing or is it something else?
Oh, sorry, which,
It's an island.
No, not that.
I don't know which.
Where Frederick Place is written, those trees.
it's a house. There's a fence there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's a residence.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a residence.
it's a
on that
residence.
corner, yeah.
So take the second bullet
Yeah,
point
take
out.
that one out. We've raised a question about bus stops. I think we could say that the board wonders whether there might be safer options than having the bus stop in the cycleway.
Mm.
I mean,
We can ask that question, but it's unlikely.
and it wasn't, and this isn't actually for this bit. But I wonder about the bus. Is there planned improvements to the bus shelter outside Te Arotai?
Is this Te Arotai or is this Sullivan?
No, so it's moving along the cycleway.
Okay. Like a bus shelter down at Te Arotai, which would be
Outside the school.
both sides of the road.
Yeah. So is there planned bigger bus shelters? I guess we should say.
Outside the
It says proposed shelter. All right.
What page is that on?
Existing bus shelter, proposed 3 metre wide shared path. Yeah, and existing.
Says here.
Yeah. Oh, second.
There's one up above. Yeah, that one.
Oh, there we go.
Proposed shelter.
Existing bus shelter, proposed bus shelter. So I'm hoping
So
that,
it's the existing bus stop, but there's a proposed shelter to go in there, right, like say,
Yeah.
heading.
so I guess the question is whether it's going to be big enough.
Yeah.
So the board would like to ensure that the planned bus shelters outside the school are of sufficient size to cater for need. Oh, by the way, I did talk to briefly exchange message with the Dick Edmondson, the principal of Te Arotai, and he said off the top of his head he would think that there would be at least 100 kids who cycle to Te Arotai every day. So that's not. I've asked him for the pedestrian numbers too, which I imagine are a lot higher. But we can, before the decision made by council, we should be able to get some concrete numbers.
Or bus numbers too, eh?
Yeah, bus numbers.
One seems very small on that shelter.
Another thing I saw raised was suggesting that Maycroft be
Maycroft, where is Maycroft?
Maycroft is that little street that goes between Aldwins and
Marcroft?
Marcroft.
Street?
Yeah, Marcroft.
Right, okay.
If it should be a cul-de-sac or not. And I sort of looked at it and it's very small.
Blocked off.
I'm going to say not to make it a cul-de-sac.
It'll be very inconvenient for the people who live there, right?
Well, you've got those two, you've got all ones, but then I can't remember what's the name of that, it starts with R, Randolph.
Mm.
Randolph. If you're wanting to come out and get into Albans Road and you block off that into a cul-de-sac there, then you've actually got to come right the way down.
And turn right out of Randolph, right?
Well, you still got to do a left out of there anyway.
Yeah.
Do a left out of there anyway, but it means that you're,
I'm happy to take that out.
yeah, I just disagree.
Who,
Because
who's that?
Send it if the emergency services have to go there in a hurry.
Just a local
I mean, you
resident.
can't, if you wanted to do a left turn into Aldwins and then a right turn to go down Harrow Street,
Excellent.
you can't.
So the
You have
next
to go
one
right
is
the way down.
just
and-
a yes or no maybe. Do you think
Clearly we
installing
don't
a raised
agree.
platform
Well,
intersection?
it is, it means you've got to actually drive.
No, I mean
Randolph
it
Street.
is now.
All right.
That's perfect.
Can we,
Yeah, yes, I know.
Can we move on? Can we move on to the next one, which we've already talked about mostly, but it's a yes, no. Somewhat. I mean, I'm about the raised platforms in particular. I'm inclined to say don't know, not sure, because we don't yet, like, obviously the traffic engineers are doing what they do based on the evidence, etc. But we still don't know for sure. I'm sort of
Why
happy.
can we exist too?
Yeah. So
So how do we know?
we don't know. We don't know, but I would rather try something to improve
Yeah.
safety.
I think
And
we
then,
should do it, no, just say that.
yeah. So I think we can say,
So there's no option for comment there.
okay.
So I need to move what we have discussed.
Mhm.
Here, is there anything I need to know? So I'll put all the additional points there. So yeah, so that was just a standalone question, and then we go on to just highlight that so you can say, do you think installing the raised platform will improve safety?
Same answer.
That one is a bit different though. If you have a look at the design, it's not the same like big raised platform. It is, if you come down to page, so if you come down to page 12, now you'll see that that has got the middle is an raised platform. It's like just the transition into the main intersection.
It's that white stuff.
Yeah.
So what are you saying is different about it?
Well, if you go back to the other one, from what I can tell, at least, where are we?
Page 9.
Page 9 is that big.
You're saying it's 2 car lengths rather than one.
Yeah, it's quite a lot bigger. But nevertheless, I think we should just have the same answer.
I think it's the same. Look at the size of the cars on that map.
Might just be that
We'll say that.
to scale.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you left a bullet point green turn and arrows on Timber Ave. I'm just going to remove this and put it at the bottom here,
Yeah.
and then we can talk to that. So this will come under, is there anything else we need to know? So do you want to?
Now, my memory serves me correct. Well, I saw that people were saying that there should be green turning arrows onto Linwood Ave
From where?
from when turning right off Aldwins. Now, if I will just have a look here.
Yes.
There is.
That's what we're going to do right too.
That's what I
It's a
assume.
lot of difference.
Yeah, that 30
Yeah,
cars
yeah,
getting through.
yeah.
It needs to as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's really busy, and there's right turning arrows turning the other way too. So I don't typically come that way down
I do often.
Yeah, I do often.
Yeah, the only issue is, if
Right.
you're in that, left on the right-hand lane, you're not turning right, you get stuck.
Yep.
But I don't know how to fix that. 'cause I haven't done it. I don't know
It's
what
right
to do.
turning lane.
If you're not turning right
Yeah,
off Aldrins into Ferry, sorry, I'm looking at Linwood Ave.
yeah, I'm looking at them there. I
Because
can't
the
see.
comment I put it down here was limited.
Yeah, Yeah, so there's sometimes about 50 cars lined up coming back into the lane.
Ah, right,
And if you're on the right-hand lane, you
Yeah,
go,
I'm
oops.
with you,
Right.
yeah.
So going towards Ferrymead, that what,
Coming to Brighton,
so you're turning right into,
if you're not turning
Do
right.
you think it would be better to suggest that they make that turning lane longer?
I looked at it and I thought, how can you,
I actually don't think there's any way of doing that.
not having that island down the middle, you couldn't. So I don't know.
No,
that.
but you could
Cut the island.
cut the island, make the island
Make that
narrower
island narrower.
further down.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Whereabouts? Exactly?
So coming up to.
So where you're-
King on the left,
Where you buy animates.
Think of
it's on the right.
Buking on,
yeah, yeah. I know, yeah.
oh, well, I mean, that's the area with the slip lane and the,
No, the slip lanes, we're not, we're actually on Aldwins Road, aren't we? Aldwins going to Brighton, whereas your slip lanes is on Linwood,
mhm,
right? So we're talking about coming up Aldwins Road,
Hmm.
heading to Brighton, and you have a lot of right turning cars there that are turning right to go into Linwood Ave there. And the right turning cars can actually block that straight
Yeah.
ahead lane
I know
way back down to almost
Page 15.
Marcroft Street. There you go. Yeah. Slip lanes on the other road.
And what's that?
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
so what's having a look at that, what is proposed here is there's I don't know if this is going to be changed, I can't see the rest of it, but there's a right turn lane and two straight ahead lanes and a left turn lane.
Already
Yeah,
is.
well, what it
It
is,
is, it's the same.
so what it is you can see it's got quite a thick island.
Yeah.
And then it tapers off to the turning lane.
Yeah.
And what we're just saying is like taking that taper back further.
Okay, so the board suggests
Well, that's what I-
extending
That's right.
the right turning lane, turning from Aldwins right into Linwood Ave, going towards New Brighton,
No, the other way. Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
going to,
Yeah. An extra.
Yeah.
100
I
metres
just
or so.
know sometimes there
If
are so
possible.
many cars waiting to turn right in that lane that I would go straight ahead and turn down past them all and loop back round when
Me
I go
too.
east. Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah,
that is one reason I don't go that way, because it's always,
but it's a great turning lane. It gets a lot of cars.
Yeah,
through.
it does,
But if you're going
sometimes.
straight, you can get
Okay.
stuck.
all right.
So you happy with those words?
Yeah.
So that is that, unless there's any more comment, we've finished the other one.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Sorry, one
No,
more
I'm
thing on the speed. I just had a look at the safer speed neighbourhood. So they're proposing a variable 30-kilometre section in front of the
Outside
school.
the other
Yeah, so
time,
there's nothing proposed for the rest of
Hmm.
Nothing
just
proposed
a
for-
section between,
So you go from
Car-
60,
Carlo and
you go from 60 to 30.
yeah, variable, so it's
Yeah.
not all the time, it's only obviously during school hours.
The only
But-
comment I put in,
Yes, it's a
Okay.
variable 30, it's not a fixed 30 at all
road
times.
narrow,
But there's nothing down by Ara,
Uh,
nothing down around that Solomon Ave corner, because there's a lot of silly teenagers around there.
yeah. I was just
No.
worried about the emergency
That one's-
vehicles trying to get through with the road narrow,
Whereabouts?
that whole stretch of road. Because often there's police and ambulance and fire working down Inglis Road.
Yeah.
And if there's not enough room for cars to pull over to let them through, they're gonna be jammed in for.
All those yellow lines, it should be.
They can always.
Yeah, well, that's the only concern.
I guess the emergency services will be looking at this and making submissions, hopefully.
Yeah, because it was one of, like, just about every time I go down that road, there's always a siren.
No, it's-
Yes.
yeah, it's major curfew.
Yeah.
All right. Improving Bromley's roads.
So I'll put the same as
Yeah, I mean, I cycle and drive through there on a daily basis.
First question.
I'm actually really enthusiastic about all of these. The one, so I think, I mean, yes, yes and yes.
The rest will be happy with that?
Yeah,
Are you happy with that pedestrian crossing in the middle?
well, that's specifics, we're saying yes,
Oh, yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, so in general, yes. One of the comments that came out in the social pinpoint stuff that I was reading was saying that, you know, that the small roundabout that they want to put at the Hay McGregor's intersection. So that's
Page 19.
it's, yeah, if you're going from Linwood Ave to down Hay Street, and you're going to turn left down McGregor's, that roundabout that they put there, if they don't put, if it's not high enough, people just go straight over the top of it, and it, so they're going to have to. I think that's likely. Like, I think it's a really good suggestion by local residents, and the other thing that came out was wanting more speed cushions on McGregor's between Linwood and Keeley's Road, because people will cut through that way. That again, this is from submissions that I saw in that social pinpoint thing. That's a really good suggestion. Does anyone have any problems with that? I don't know if you're familiar with that road, Joe and Tim, but it's a bit, there's a little set of shops there, and at the moment there's a big, massive, wide intersection. I'll go down to the page where there's always burnout marks.
Which two streets?
So it's McGregor's Road and
Hay Street.
what's the name of that street? Walcott, I think.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Page 21.
Yeah. So if you go have a look,
It's called a mountable traffic column, so it's been made to run over.
yeah, and I think for it's be good to have some more explanation of this, but I think it's more of a psychological thing that makes it look a lot smaller. Obviously, the people who will go straight over the top of it without much regard probably weren't going to pay it that much attention anyway.
If there's no traffic like another something, why not run over?
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is that most of the time, there's not that much traffic here, but it's like if every time I go through this intersection on my bike, which is fairly frequently, I'm very careful when I go through because it's so big, it's big and wide, and people just go. And they're going to widen that by the shops, and it'll actually make it a lot safer pulling in and out with the car as well. I think it'll be good for the businesses. Does that all make sense with you, Jackie? Cool. Another thing that came out is that there needs to be a narrowing of the intersection coming from Linwood Ave into Hay Street. People just come around there really quickly. It's big and wide as well.
Yeah.
And they accelerate down what is a very straight street. And I've always also wondered about putting heavy traffic restrictions on Hay Street, because the buses, when they're not on service, go down there quite a lot as a shortcut to get to the depot. People have been complaining about it for years. And also trucks do it too, instead of using the appropriate roads. It's not really included in this, but it might make some difference.
It's the most direct route, I guess, to the bus station.
Yeah.
Go bus.
Yeah. And the other one is we had the Cypress Street people will be making submissions. They're pretty well organised to try and reduce the speeds, because they get a lot of antisocial road use on Cypress Street.
Yeah.
So just want to support that.
Cypress
Well, what
is,
do the residents say about that pedestrian crossing here? That's
The one on
the one kind of, it goes across the cemeteries. There's not really any footpaths on that side.
Yeah, well, there will be footpaths there. That's because we did ask that question in
Yeah,
briefing.
but are the residents happy with that?
I haven't seen anything about it. There are a lot of people do cut through, and so making it easier to cut through the cemetery there by having connecting to a path and making sure that there's enough.
But you think that's in the right place?
I did
for the
once they
pedestrians?
explained it, I thought that it was, but beforehand I was really skeptical. It's the most logical place to put it, because otherwise you're too close to either of the intersections.
Cyprus is not on here, they're just saying that.
No. So we had a discussion with Lindsay Ellis about it, and she said that residents feel particularly strongly that it can come under the, did we miss something? What would we say? We could say the board wishes to support aspirations from residents of Cypress Street to curb antisocial road use by introducing traffic calming measures.
Sorry, can you, after Cypress Street, I heard traffic calming measures.
To introduce, to support aspirations of residents to curb antisocial road use by introducing traffic calming. And another thing that wasn't mentioned, and this has come up to me repeatedly, is that so at the moment, St John Street, Bromley, which runs between Maces Road and Linwood Ave, has heavy traffic restrictions, but those heavy traffic restrictions are basically ignored. So we need, in order for them to be effective, I think there needs to be intersection narrowing at the entrance
Of Maces.
of Maces. Yeah, well, even if it's just, even if it's,
For that to be effective, you need traffic lights on the Dyers Road, Maces Road intersection, and that is the only thing that is going to stop those trucks going down there. I don't care, you can narrow it, you can put your bumps in there. If they can't turn right further along, they're going to go down.
And there'll be this car doing that too.
well, if we could, so we say intersection narrowing entrance of Maces to St John Street.
So you can't put a
And
truck
then-
around the corner.
Yeah, that's right. And you can put in, the board wishes to note its ongoing preference for lights at the Maces Dyers intersection.
Just to clarify, this St John's one isn't part of the plans,
No,
no, so that's why I've just put it at this one here underneath.
any further comments on the Bromley? I'll take that as a no. All right, moving on to Smith Street.
Do we talk
Yeah,
about,
so straight.
we talk about that? Hey, McGregor's intersection, how we,
So that's the one that Joe was just referring to. Hey McGregor's is where you've got a crossing.
yeah.
You-
So what do we
and
say
then-
about
So there's, so it goes, it's Hay Butterfield and Hay McGregor's to it, and then so you've got because it is a bit of a dog's breakfast, but I think what they're proposing is gonna, by slowing down traffic coming into Butterfield, putting in raised platform and putting in crossings and a roundabout, just going to slow everything down. Because the worst is, so most of the time it's okay because it's not that busy, but at peak times you get people coming either way down Hay Street, people turning out of Butterfield, people turning out of McGregor's, and it just when you're a pedestrian or a cyclist, it just gets really precarious. Even as
but looking at now, I remember from talking the last conversation, it's fine.
yeah, cool.
So we're on Smith Street cycleway and upgrades.
Smith Street. So the big question I have is why not use Mackworth instead?
Sorry, let's start from the beginning, Paul.
I'm sorry.
Do you think this
I'm lost
proposal will
without standing what
improve
you said.
crossing the road, pedestrians crossing the road?
Yes. Does anybody disagree?
No.
What's the question? Sorry?
Do you think this proposal will improve the safety for cycling?
Yes.
Thank you.
And pedestrians, yeah.
Yes, but,
Yeah, it doesn't, it's the question that they're asking is the one we have to answer.
Yeah,
There's no buts for that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it,
Next.
so, but my first question is, and I just don't know the answer. I don't know.
They're talking about people going to.
But-
about going to
The pool and
Toy Toy,
everything.
yeah.
So when you come down, so if you go down Mackworth and you go through Linwood Ave, there's paths.
There's a path
Up
through.
Linwood Park, the path can take you straight to the pool.
Yeah.
For a cycleway, and that's what people are saying. And I don't know.
And Mackworth Street's a lot wider. Or it seems it, maybe. because
There's a more of a berm there.
Yeah.
There is too. And another thing is that there's a, the Linwood drain,
Yeah,
which I wish we could rename. It's just, call it something cool. There's
or something.
a shared path along there,
Yes.
though it's fairly narrow at most points. So you've got this path that goes like half a block back, running along, and also takes people into the park.
Yeah.
That's not very well maintained. It's not really part of this. And then you've got, if you had the cycleway, the cycleway going along Mackworth and connecting into the park, which just,
Yeah.
this actually makes
It
sense.
does,
Yeah, the
actually
map
make sense taking the cycleway up there because it takes you into the park and then it's a straight, the path from the end of Mackworth goes straight through the park and brings you out opposite Eastgate
Into the school.
into the school.
Yeah.
Whereas, Smith Street. So
And
where are people heading on this cycleway? Right, and it's like, yes, they might be heading to the pool, which they go up Mackworth and turn, but if they're heading to the supermarket or the school or to, the mall, then Mackworth Street straight through the park there. If I'm walking there, I don't walk up Smith Street. I walk up Mackworth.
So I don't have a particular problem personally with the Smith Street option, other than apart from the intersection with Ferry Road, which
Yeah,
we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
But I just wonder why the preference for Smith Street over Mackworth when it goes into the park.
but also it saved the loss of parking outside the facility. If we went next to-
To be honest, I don't think there's any need for parking outside the
No, but
facility.
I'm just
There's
saying
plenty
it
of
is,
parking
you know,
in the car park. That car park's, I've never seen it.
The only time it's full was
My head.
the only time it's full is when there's a big league game.
Big league game.
A big one, yeah. And there's heaps on Linwood Ave.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say the board wishes for designers to consider Mackworth Street as an alternative. Wish we had, wish I had a thought of Mackworth where it had been raised. I'd seen it beforehand, but I guess this is what the consultation is for. I mean, this is council decision, but
It's Mackworth is wide.
yeah, it's wider. It's got a bigger berm.
And also, like,
So sorry, just to clarify, sorry, Jackie, so using Mackworth Street for,
For the cycleway.
Rather than
And
Smith.
yeah, so taking the cycleway from Ferry Road into Linwood Park to the back of Te Pau Toi Toi. Right,
Can I Mackworth go into
yeah,
that?
so using Mackworth Street for
Yeah.
cycleway rather than Smith Street. So the path, the cycleway goes from Ferry Road into Linwood Park to Te Pau Toi Toi.
I can't spell
T space POU space TOE.
it, thank you.
Cool.
So all of these,
Toy Toys.
okay, but
Just
still both
continue that.
capitals?
Yeah.
No, what second T is small. Begin to it.
Okay,
Yep.
so these bullet points to go now that we've got to that, or that was just the first one?
So,
first one.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
however, if Smith Street is to be the option, well, that speaking for myself, my only concern is the intersection with Ferry Road, and I also don't support it being made left turn only, because I just think that would.
Left turn only, it just places further pressure on like Macbeth Street, trying to turn right out of there. This isn't actually an area of Smith Street that I use a lot.
It is or isn't?
For some reason, everybody I know likes the same cafe, right? So where those two car parks are taken out, that's where I normally park, because that street's usually full of cars, like on Saturday and Sunday, it's absolutely chocker along there. So you take those two car parks out, you make that, I don't know why we'd want a P10 there. There's no short-term use, right? There's no reason why you would park there for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre. So essentially, we're taking out two car parks that are often full.
The occasional takeaway coffee. It's not really a place where people get.
It's not a place for the pet shop's gone.
Yeah.
But making that left turn only, you've got a lot of people do a right turn there. If it's left turn only, then I'm happier. But if it's going to be right turn and left turn, then you cannot have it single lane. You just can't. The right turns will block it.
So would you prefer it being left turn only?
No, I don't prefer it being left turn only. I'm happier with the design of it with having only one lane. If it's only going to be one lane, then maybe left turn only. But I'm actually in favour of it being both ways. Just because when you actually go down that way, you've got Macworth Street that you can do a right turn out of, but it's more difficult than a right turn out of Smith Street, because we now have the pedestrian crossing, which slows the traffic down to allow you to do a better right turn there. Or you go down to Randolph Street, virtually impossible to do a right turn from Randolph into Ferry Road because of the close proximity to Albans and the build-up of traffic and traffic waiting for traffic lights.
But at least with Smith Street, you can go around through the side streets onto Hardwood or something. Really? We're doing a right turn from Smith Street into Ferry Road, right? I'm saying Tilford, really difficult. Yes, you could go from Smith Street, you could go back to Harwood and use the lights, like take a two block to detour around to do a right turn. So it's just so what are we suggesting as an alternative?
That we leave it 2 lane and keep the right turn.
But what about the safety of the cycleway? So that they're narrowing it to stop people coming in and coming into and out of Smith Street too quickly, and they're trying to protect the cycleway.
I understand that they're.
So what are we? Do we have a suggested alternative?
With cycling, that's true.
However,
not helpful, but no, I
if they're not,
see that there will be issues with the community if you narrow that down and make it left turn only, because there has to be somewhere for people to be able to turn right. It's hard enough, turning right along there as it is.
playing devil's advocate.
Yeah,
like,
no.
if you do anything that some people will be upset, is
maybe it would upset me. No, I don't. I understand some people. Doesn't matter what we do, somebody's going to be upset. But
so what we're saying is that, or what I think I'm hearing, is that the board definitely prefers Macworth Street. Maybe we'll just make that our submission. You're right. Happy with that, Jackie?
yes, or or we find another, we rework this intersection so that it's
Yeah, okay, then.
two-way and two-lane.
Or we can say, however, if the council chooses to stick with Smith Street, the intersection with Smith Street and Ferry Road needs to have a viable right turn option.
Two-lane. By viable, we mean two-lane.
And okay, and brackets then, i.e. 2 lanes. Right, moving on.
Take these out now.
Yes,
Perfect. Is there anything else we need to know?
no,
Optional comments, so we don't have to put anything in. Yep. Next one, school safety Linwood, and I will put the standard blurb of various means.
various means.
Question, do you think this proposal will improve safety for pedestrians?
Yes, I think if anybody disagrees.
Oh, good.
Joe, happy? Thank you.
The,
Question, is there anything else we could do to improve pedestrian safety in this area? Let's be specific as possible.
so Tim and I went to the meeting at 151 Woodham Road by the Woodham Park, and it was a very amicable conversation, and the staff actually presented a second option, which moved the crossing to the other side, just the other side of the entrance of Woodham Park, and they like that better, and I think Tim and I liked it better. So just like to, if we could support that, that would be good. The other option, and I haven't talked.
So what was the reasoning
So the reason
for it being better?
it moves it from outside that particular house, but it also it part of the issue on Woodham Road, and a big issue, is that people come out of those lights with Gloucester Street, they put their foot down. So so narrowing the road closer, having the crossing, and have it closer to the intersection will slow traffic down sooner, because it's a difference of about 30 metres. 30 or 40. And just means that people get up less speed. And it kind of makes more sense if you look at the front of Woodham Park. It's wider on that side. There's more space for the crossing. Yep. And the didn't get to the one with the school, but obviously they're very enthusiastic to have a new crossing outside the school. My only concern is just for the dairy, but they'll get time limited parking. So if they're getting and I think if the time limited parking is close enough to the school without compromising safety, they'll actually do better. Because at the moment, there's no time limited parking outside the dairy.
Right.
People can just park there. They can drop their kids off and go to a meeting, and
Yeah, time limit.
teachers can park there all day.
Yeah.
So that actually benefit them.
Yes, that's right. So there's going to be, so see how there's just on the left-hand side on, there's time limited car parking there.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, and around the corner as well. So I mean, I go to this dairy, it's near my work. And I've always been amazed that there's no time limited car parking outside.
So chocolate you're buying from there?
Pardon? Oh no.
I know what it was.
Yeah. Pepsi Coke. It's great. The speed cushions and stuff for Narima Street. Been contacted not that long ago about speeding along Narima Street. Didn't know that this plan was in the works. And at the moment you've got people running from down from Avonside Drive. So yeah, very happy with that. Does anybody have any other comments? As far as I can tell, all of the restrictions all of the changes are all fairly sensible. I believe that the school Te Paorakai Hotu is very happy with the proposed changes on Rona Street.
So we move on to the next one, sorry.
I think,
All of them.
yeah, we can just say that the board supports all of the proposed changes, or all of the additional proposed changes. I mean, so far, the feedback, apart from people who just don't want to slow down anything, it's been like, oh, look, the council's doing stuff in the east, the council's doing stuff to help protect us, kind of thing. That feedback's been pretty good.
Apart from my ward.
But there's not a whole lot happening.
Because I say the east and everyone just presumes it's our ward.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then they find out there's nothing really planned and then.
well, I'm sure there's be opportunity in the long term plan. Yeah, well, we're going to get Pages Road Bridge done, aren't we?
Yeah, repeat.
Rona Street, yeah, provided that it's supported by the school. That's it. That's the only caveat. I believe it is, but check.
Okay, so I'm just going to move this on. Yeah.
The school putting in a solution.
I haven't heard that they are, but they've been engaged with my staff.
I missed that one.
You happy with that, Paul, just where I've moved it?
Yeah.
Well, I find it interesting that they say it's a 75mm high piece on the road, but doesn't say dimensions for those other ones, earlier ones.
Right.
The hubs.
Yeah, but I do have a question about how high they're going to be, but I assume that they'll have to be different according to the appropriate speed. Yeah.
Well, that Marshall Road one, I don't think there's a height either. Right?
No, they gave us height for that.
Oh, they did.
I forget what it was, but I remember they gave us.
Probably the same.
Can't remember enough of the facts to tell you that.
Anything else on Rona
No,
Street?
nothing else on Rona Streets.
Come on.
Public transport. The sections that if you have a look on the map, where are we?
So I'm just going to say 2 to 3 times a week is that's the most. Or once or more a day, actually.
I mean, I use the bus 1 to 2 times a week.
Okay.
Unless you count both ways. No, 1 to 2 times a week.
Does anybody else catch bus? Right.
Maybe once a year.
We used to catch myself.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll use Paul as the as the lead once a week at least. Okay, perfect.
So if you have a look at the key, stage 2 and 2A, which is our ward area, is going to be consulted on a bit later. So I think we have more opportunity to feed into this.
So are there any specific location where improvements are needed? Does the board have any comment on that question?
I don't know well enough to know.
I know there is a specific one that I would like moved. And I think hopefully we have the ability to go and get a bit more feedback. I've put it as a note down further. Where is it? So there's a few of them.
This one?
So that bus stop needs to move from outside 86 Pages Road.
Because that's
Uh,
not a good enough reason, I'm afraid, Jax.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
well, I think the problem is people don't really like sitting in a bus stop when there's a bunch of cameras and stuff leaning over the fence pointing at you.
Oh, it's there.
So I just think it just needs to move.
There's an alleyway there now, isn't there?
Mm.
Yeah, but moving it like,
Apparently they're okay, those people. I'm just going to be selling a unit beside them at the back. I said to the person, and I said, how are they? He says, when my sister was sick, they came over and helped her.
Yeah.
So,
And it wasn't a comment on the people, it was a comment on the
yeah, look at
the aesthetic.
Yeah.
So is that position there because of the alleyway, I take it?
I
and the distance between bus stops.
Happy with my expansion on,
yes, that's fine.
There's nothing,
Um,
well, we say places further.
No, it's they went for that.
And I think as a general kind of rule, so we don't necessarily need to specify it, but I have lower down, having that bus stops that are close to schools and close to shops should be nicer, have more capacity than others. Sheltered, yeah. That's what I mean by nicer, not gold plated, just useful.
did you cover that anywhere, Paul?
Well, I mentioned a few of them in particular.
Okay.
So I think we could say to cover all of those as a general principle, the board would like bus stops close to schools and shops and public facilities to have shelters and to have sufficient capacity.
Because they're useful.
Well, that's the application. Yeah.
So that's one.
Which ones do I need to take out?
You
This
should
one
take
here?
out that one. That's already covered anyway. The Cuthbert's Green, the Hofar, Breezes Road. We'll cover that. Leave that one. We covered that.
So this can come out?
Yes, that's the other thing is around accessibility. So, like a number of these places have these like big dish gutters, and it's just like unless the bus stop's exactly where they put in the tiny little bit nominally for wheelchairs, it's really difficult for a lot of people, particularly people who might want to use the bus. It's like if they're going to put in improved bus stops, they need to put in some kind of to make sure that they're accessible.
So you got my notes on the coastal ones with the.
We did get them way back, yes.
I guess they could put
But they're all in the red zone more or less, and there's no houses in the red zones, and Pages Road is due to be upgraded, so why upgrade bus stops there?
I have bus stops in the flooding area.
Well, why have bus stops in the front? They've got a sheltered one on the south side at Hexley, which is sufficient at the moment.
So can you?
But down Fort Street, right where the supermarket is and the shopping mall, that's just a bench seat with nothing. So they would be more, it'd be high priority than doing it in the middle of a red zone.
So can we just capture that? So bus stop renewal should extend into coastal ward, and also exclude the red zone. And next bullet point, bus stops on Hawke Street need upgrading to shelters. Anything else?
Probably yes, that's the least would probably know what she wants. Is there a shelter outside the Hawke one? I can't remember.
She's a decision maker on this. So
Yeah.
here we go.
There is a shelter at Bower Ave at the moment where they've indicated to put one on New Brighton Road, but I don't know whether that's actually indicating that point or whether that's indicating around the corner of Bower Ave. says Bower Park.
Sorry, I missed it. I was trying to find that thing from Celeste.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I was just thinking the one that's in Waitai Road, red zone, maybe people get off there to go to Bower Park.
Maybe.
Or they could get off there to walk across to Shirley Boys through the park or something. So maybe retain that one.
So can you put
Waitai red zone.
like you can just put in the brackets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Just put brackets, but
because
retaining.
there's no real get off zone.
So retaining which, but so can we just clarify? So which
The stop prior to
The
Waitai Bridge.
stop prior to Waitai Bridge? Okay.
Anzac Drive and the bridge.
Yes.
Waitai Bridge, did you say, Joy?
Yeah. I think it's just because that is the only stop before someone's going to the park, or if they're cutting across the red zone to Shirley and Aveside. That would be probably the stop to get off.
Maybe the closest to that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because there's no get off stop around the corner.
So you're talking about so
And
bus.
the Pages Road ones, I think we need to wait for the actual,
So that one you
for
mentioned.
the whole new project to be put in place before you even.
So that bus stop. Sorry, that bus stop near Waitai Bridge is between. That's the Waitai Road near Bexley Road.
It's between
That one there.
Anzac Drive and
In the
the
river.
bridge.
Yeah. Okay. So that's bus stop 18448.
And it's probably the highest piece of land as well. Stop in the area.
Yep. The
Right.
But you know, there's no point doing those Pages Road ones until the flooding issue's done and the project's
so
been.
So you talk about this bullet point here, Joe?
yeah, you just take that out. So you'd say bus stops with the Hawke Street one.
Hawke Street, there's
Oh,
a
no,
couple
under
of bus
that one,
stops down Hawke Street. Probably
So
three or four that
Yeah.
probably would
Yeah.
need.
hold on a sec. We'll just do the question if not that one.
Oh, but we haven't covered that one, just so we.
No, yeah. So the bus stops under that one. The regional bus stops on Hawke Street upgrade to include shelters. So like what's the key one on Hawke Street that needs?
Hawke Street, there's two down by the supermarket end, one on each side of the road.
Yeah, so it's that one. It's Hawke Street. So 53472
53472,
and 53486 on the other side of the road.
53486.
And then there's two down further where by the new development.
Yeah, but if you're going,
It's not the one on the north side isn't used as much as the one on the south side. There's often people waiting on the south side one.
okay, and 39137.
So 39137.
In terms of upgrades, so the next bullet point, I don't, when we have, while it is incredibly frustrating that we don't have a proper bus service that goes through Bromley, if we're looking at prioritising limited resources, upgrading bus stops through Bromley seems like not a great use.
Yeah.
Like if we're going to, like these stops in Coastal-Burwood would seem much more urgent for improvement than the ones in Bromley. So you could say, just as in brackets after the end of it, coastal board with bus stops as above could be what's the word? An alternative.
prioritise.
Prioritise, yes.
Just those ones in Hawke Street, I think. Most of the other bus stops around there have got shelters.
Um, so excluding Linwood Avenue Ferry Road.
There is no need, or there is little need.
There is, well, little, there may be some that need, that are used. In terms of the people that I have talked to who are most concerned about bus use and bus accessibility is people with disabilities and advocacy groups. If we're going to be upgrading bus stops and stuff, I hope that they are accessible and that those groups are being engaged with properly. Nobody forgets the first time they've been accosted by Philip Haythorne Waite.
It'd be nice for people, whale point of view, with a shelter on their bus stop outside their place. But that's out of the scope.
Where's that?
That Preston's Road. And there's always an old chap every morning when I go to work, sitting out there with his vape in the rain and the cold.
We want a bus shelter.
And his
so he can
walker
have his
next to
vape,
him.
without the rain.
But it's just a seat with no shelter.
Hold on a second. And then yeah, we can take out that point around Chisholm Wood because we've stated a general.
So the last point we haven't covered is this one here, the dish guttering. Is that-
Yeah, and that's related to the.
I would say it needs to be replaced by that,
Well, it has to be
adapted,
adapted, mitigated.
because there might be to put a piece of pipe for a section so you can reflect this on one of that
Need to be adapted to the
safety. Safe access onto the bus,
Onto the bus.
on and off the bus.
Need to take out that last bit. Can you add under the just as a sort of indented bullet point, and not that bit, sorry, under the one about the just add a bullet point under the bus stops on Hawke Street. If possible, a shelter at 54218 but near Alpine View Rest Home should be added. Go.
as long as they're why they wouldn't be.
All right, so where are we? We've got done that.
Yeah, so there's literally, is there anything else we need to know, which is an optional comment? Other than that, I think we just need to cover this one if everybody is happy with what you've highlighted. So what infrastructure improvements would you like to see?
So more seats and shelters, bus stops relocated or added, improve footpaths at bus stops, or tactile pavers for vision impairment, and cut down curbing for accessibility. Is everybody happy with those things?
Yeah, just Cindy, the bus shelter that the boys from Shirley Boys came to see us about, when will that be put into, you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. There would have been an update on the action tracker. If not, I'm happy to chase that with
Oh, yeah.
staff.
Yeah, because that's still
Yeah,
isn't.
It's been
in
approved.
place, but,
I'm
so
pretty
we
sure-
don't need to add it through
No,
or anything, do
No,
we?
so it's on a schedule. I believe the delay is due to the contractors having a really heavy workload.
But a rain,
Pardon?
probably put a rain doesn't help.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of shelters to install as well,
Yeah.
so I just think the delay with staffing and the way things are these days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
So that brings us to the end of that one. All the way safe streets.
Fantastic. So that means that we'll pass that at the end of the meeting, right?
Yes.
So we'll go to the bylaw. Shall we have a 5-minute recess just to recharge our brains?
I think that's great.
A adjournment.
We need to go to the students.
our meeting, please.
3:30.
Well, hello, everybody, to all the people watching us online.
I'm not really a fan. I'm sitting.
You just need to sit up straighter in the chair, Tim. That's better.
What I hope there's no one watching.
All right. As you can tell, we're haven't lost our sense of humour. So we now move on to discuss the cruising and prohibited times on roads bylaw. And there isn't actually a staff recommendation.
Oh, just on the minute, Shell. So often the one sheet, we would have done those, but we can do those at the end together.
Oh, no, we'll do those at the end.
Okay.
So you may have got my email suggesting some additions. Although the bylaw as proposed will make it easier to add and remove than it's currently, I would like to add to at least during so I've said added to the to restrictions, so from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Thursday to Monday and public holidays, so otherwise known as optimum boy racer time, to add in the entirety of Hay Street, the remaining Ruru Road, which is in McGregor's Road from Hay to Buckley's, and Cuthbert's Road, although Cuthbert's not as important because there's fewer vehicles on it. Sorry, not fewer vehicles, fewer houses. So but does anybody, we'll talk about Cuthbert's Road separately, does anybody have any problem with those, or think we should just make them blanket or anything like that? So I've seen in the yeah. So the blue is the ones I'm suggesting get added, and Cypress Street as well. Cypress is on the map, but it's not. Cypress Street isn't included in that map because I did that map before I had the Cypress Street issue was brought to my attention.
I'll just add a note to say map attached.
Yes, you can add map attached, but then I'd have to also add Cypress Street. But Cypress Street runs between Ruru Road and Rudd's Road, and there are ongoing issues with antisocial road use there, which we've noted previously. Does anybody have any difference of opinion or suggestions or anything like that?
Do we just support?
Okay, cool. Anybody want to add any others to traffic restrictions?
More than once I've gone to the corner of Hay and Ruru, not stopped though, and got license plates and given to the police because they do burnouts there. The question I have is if this was police better, who would they go to? Does it solve something?
Well, I guess the thing is that the burnouts and stuff are already unlawful, right? The sustained loss of traction, as they call it. And there are places where there's other places in the area, including Wilston, and there are other areas out west, up northwest, like around the airport and things, and where they move around. But it's a bit like the alcohol ban, where it's not a silver bullet, but it gives more tools to try and disincentivize. And so because if at the moment, and these are all residential streets or industrial streets leading into residential areas, and we're saying that, by congregating in those areas, it means that police can easily disperse them. Just makes it.
Gives the police a bit more.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not ideal. I mean, but it's one of those things, and we're in a position as local government where we can't make all the rules, but we just have to try and use the rules as that are available to us to try and make a difference.
And these specific ones are because
These specific ones are
the
because,
width of the roads and stuff as
yeah,
well.
well, I mean, you look at Cypress Street, you can tell why it is being used. Because it's straight and it's out of the way. So, because the police tend to stay on the main roads for obvious reasons.
And your one, Cuthbert's.
So Cuthbert's, which runs from the road up behind the wastewater
Yeah,
treatment.
where
plant.
that's you stopping on your map, is it Breezes Road? Or
It would
is
be
somewhere else?
Breezes Road, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I know that's a favoured route as well.
Yeah.
Remember, there's only houses on that small bit of it,
Yeah.
but it's still like it's a place where people congregate in cars.
That's from number 99 to 157, I think, isn't
Goes,
it? No, it starts at 99.
yeah,
The last one's will be 147. All right.
good. Don't think we need to make any comment about things outside of our
No.
board area.
No, I don't do that.
Okay, do you support the proposed removal of part of, so that's not in our
I think
area?
just ignore
Just
it.
don't know.
You don't know.
Okay, do you have any comments on the proposed changes to the prohibited tourism roads operational policy?
No, don't know.
No, I think I did look at it. I didn't have nothing stood out to me.
Well, we don't know.
Yeah,
We don't know the ins and outs of it, do we? Positives and negatives.
so
list of them, yeah.
so they'll be able to. The council will may by resolution subsequently amend or revoke any resolution made under clause 7.1, which is the specify any road or part of the road in the days or times during which motor vehicles weighing less than 3,500 kilograms are prohibited from being used on that road or part of road or roads. And before making it, they have to consult with other people, including community boards. So I'm happy with that.
I don't believe just from that list, there's no new ones to be added to any from our area either. So
No, that's right. All right. So in that, so anything further to add? No. Well, in that case, I believe that we would need to now need to return to standing orders. We resume standing orders before we move to resolution.
Yeah, we can do, we normally do.
All right, I move that we resume standing orders. Do we have a seconder for that? Jackie, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against carried. So now item 3. So happy to move from the chair that we prepare submission on behalf of the board on the Waitai Street project and notes given consultation time. Therefore, the submissions committee will exercise its delegated authority to complete and lodge a submission on behalf of the board, and it'll put 4 at the same time, which says the same thing. Would someone like to second that together?
All right.
Begin by Tim. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against carried. All right, well, unless staff have any further advice or comment, anybody wishes to add anything? No, well, in that case, if you'd like to join me for the karakia whakamutanga. Una kia, kia wātia, kia mama,
te rākau,
te
Tino, te whaeroa, i te ara taraka,
Ora
no,
whakaere
i te runga, i tina, tina, ue, taike.
Woohoo! Woohoo!